It is a cold, icy day out here. So we're gonna head to the plant room and do a few odd and end things. We're gonna clean the plant room. We're gonna do a winter sowing project, and I'm going to try to save some plant starts that I got from a friend. This is a sun rose ice plant, and I thought I could propagate it in water. But the water is, and the plants are smelly and slimy, and there have been no roots. So I'm going to try and snip them off and repot them in these little pots here. And then the main thing that I want to get started today is we're going to do a winter sowing project and then put them outside and let them just sit until spring, and when they're ready, and then we'll plant them. That is something I like to do every year, just because it's really too early to start seeds for what I need to grow here in the garden, but I also get antsy and like to start seeds. So this is a good way to kind of bridge the gap in between seed starting season and it's cold and snowy outside, so I can't be in the garden doing a whole lot. Ugh, these smell so bad. I am snipping off the yucky, slimy section right above that, and then I'm picking off the lower leaves so that I can transplant the stem into my pots. See, this is all dead and gross and slimy right there, so we're going to cut above that and peel off everything so that we have a nice clean stem that hopefully grows roots. We are going to just reuse some black pots that I have saved from previous growing seasons. I have a potting mix in here, and I have grouped each stem into a group of 3. These plants are great for a place that you have full sun, that just has harsh conditions, because they're a succulent and they grow really, really well in that. They're easy to propagate, or so I'm told. I'm struggling. And so that you can have more. They also go really well at the base of different plants. So if you have, something that you want to fill in the base, like you have a house plant that you'd like to fill in the base of it, or in the summertime you want to fill in the base of a plant, these work really well because they're a trailing variety. From the stems that I cut, I will get 6 containers out of them. Hopefully all of them live. And again, these are a type of ice plant. To pot each one of these, I will put 3 divots in the potting mix that I have here. We'll take this, push it in there, and then we will tuck it in, and it should very easily grow roots. And I will put it back here where I can keep it nice and watered. This tool I'm using is something I use to plant seeds a lot. I stole it from my husband. It's not mine. He probably forgot I had it until he edits this video and realizes that I still have it. Future me talking. But I forgot to go over exactly what you're going to need for this project. You need milk jugs, duct tape, preferably a garden marker, but this is a Sharpie, a knife, something to cut your milk jugs with, and the seeds that you want to start, and potting mix. Those are kind of all of the things that you're going to need for this project. I don't know why, but when it snows, I want to plant things. Seems kind of strange, but I did do a short garden tour, just kind of the fun things that I like to see in the snow, of seed heads and the way the snow sticks to trees, and it just kind of makes everything look great. My husband and I often say, I don't know where he heard it from, but he told it to me, that snow is nature's spandex, and pretty much is, because everything can look really kind of gross, and then when you get a good snow, it just looks so pretty and awesome. So we kind of joke about that. Here in Missouri, snow doesn't normally stick around long. So it'll snow and it goes away. Like the last snow we got, the one that I did a little bit of a garden tour on, it lasted for maybe 6 hours, and then it rained and it was gone. This snow here is more ice than it is snow, so it's just kind of how it is. Sometimes we get 18 inches, sometimes we get a dusting, but either way, I'll take it. So here's what we're gonna do. This is winter sowing. If you've never done this before, I highly recommend that you do it because it is so fun to go out in the snow or in the early spring when nothing is coming up and you're getting kind of frustrated and it's February and it's dark and it's dreary and the snow is not fun to look at anymore. You can look down in one of these little things, you can see inside of it and you'll see like little green sprouts and you can see what's sprouting. It's a lot of fun. But I use milk jugs. There's a ton of other ways that you can do winter sowing. The ones that I like to grow the most in winter sowing are perennials. I like to start especially some of my native plants. They are a little bit harder to start. So you can kind of mimic the way nature is in a little bit of a protected environment inside of these milk jugs. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut each of the milk jugs almost in half. See how it is a little bit of a hinge. So you don't wanna cut it all the way, but you wanna cut it in half. So we're gonna fill this with potting soil, potting mix, whatever you wanna choose. I don't think I would use a seed starting mix because you do want it to hold a little bit of moisture. That way you don't have to water it near as much. If we don't get a lot of rain or a lot of precipitation, you do have to go outside and water these just a little bit. But we'll fill this up and then we'll put our seeds on top. We'll close it and we'll duct tape it. It's a very simple process. It is fun to do on a snow day when you don't want to be outside in the cold anymore. So you can use a knife. I'm going to just use these snips. They work really well for it. Again, you cut 3/4 of the way around. Probably even more than that. Just enough to leave a little bit of a hinge. I do like to try to leave the hinge right here at the handle, but I'm gonna cut the rest of these. I have 13 different plants that we're gonna start today. I'm gonna cut these and then we'll go over that. And again, if I didn't say it, you don't need the cap because you want this open so that rain and it can have like a little bit of a greenhouse effect inside of these milk jugs. So that can be recycled. All right, those are all cut and open. I'm going to fill them with potting mix. This is just a potting mix. It's called a Pro Mix potting mix. So you can tell I left a little bit of a lip. Press the soil in there. Actually, you know what? I forgot a very important step. Dump that back out. You have to put holes in all of the bottom of these milk jugs. If not, they'll get waterlogged and you'll lose your plants. This is where I should probably use a knife. All right. Let's try this again. In the bottom of all of your milk jugs, make sure you have drainage holes. Each one of them needs a hole. What I'm trying to accomplish with the winter sowing method is less maintenance. You know, when you start seeds, you have to kind of keep a little bit of a closer eye on them. But when you do the winter sowing method, you don't. You just kind of leave them there, go check on them every once in a while, and just know that you have pretty cute little plants out sitting in the snow and cold weather. Okay. Back to where I started. There are drainage holes in all of our milk jugs. Then you're going to fill it up, about 3/4 of the way full, pack it in just a little bit, and you're gonna do that to every one of the milk jugs. I find it easier to go in an assembly line where you cut the milk jugs, put the holes in them, fill them up, and then put the seeds in them. But if you wanna do them one by one, that's fine too. Now for the fun part, seeds. I like to mark on 2 places on what seed I'm going to be doing. So this one is going to be anise hyssop. So we're going to plant inside of each one of these. I like to do 5. You can do more, but it makes transplanting a lot easier because when they grow, their roots don't have a lot of space to grow, so they kind of grow together. So if you do 4 corners and then 1 in the middle, you can kind of pull each one apart and it works really well. And then, so I put the name on the lid, and then I also put it on the duct tape and hope that one of those I can still read in the summertime or springtime. If I would use a garden marker, it might work a little bit better, but I don't have one of those, so here we are. These are tiny little seeds. So we're gonna, some there, each of the 4 corners, and some in the middle. Now these do need light to germinate, yet barely cover the soil. So we are going to kind of push them in there. So I have a variety of seeds here. Some of them are from Johnny's. I love Johnny's seeds products. I feel like they work really well. Some of them are from my local conservation area. They were giving out free native wildflower seeds, so we have that. And then some of them are ones that I collected from the garden, and we're gonna try to grow some of them. So we just kind of have a variety, but I'm going to start bergamot, mountain mint, echinops, blue gramagrass, gray-headed coneflower, echinacea, foxglove, beard tongue, and river oats. I think that one is really fun. It has the oats on the side that kind of grow on the side. I think that's really fun. And then a stiff goldenrod. Look at these seeds. You see them? They're like little, I guess that's how they get blown around in the wind. This is stiff goldenrod. It's fun. That one gets pretty tall. This right here was, oh, I forgot to label that one. This one is pin cushion. This last one that we have here is a coneflower or black-eyed Susan, Rebecca, whatever you'd like to call it, from the garden. So we're gonna start those as well. We're gonna write the name on each one of them. And then we're gonna plant up 4 corners. The seeds on these are way down here at the bottom. Plant up the 4 corners, some in the middle. When I do winter sowing, I do around 4 seeds just because I probably don't have to, but sometimes I'm a nervous Nelly. Push those in. We're gonna close it up. This isn't a very graceful process. We're going to duct tape it. This is to keep it sealed throughout the winter to give it that greenhouse effect like we talked about. Make sure it's all nice and sealed. And then we're going to write it one more time on the duct tape. You can also put it on a plant stick and put it inside of here if you would like. All right, so we're just going to do that 13 more times. Echinacea is very easy to grow just in a seed tray, so you definitely can do that. And I think I might be short one of these, so we might be doing that anyways. But this one here is the gray-headed coneflower. These ones that I have that are in this orange package I got from my local conservation. They were giving them out on my son's field trip, and so we got them. And I tried to grow them for fall planting, and it didn't work very well. Probably my fault, not the conservation's fault. And so we're gonna try a winter sowing method. I do feel like natives require a little bit more effort whenever you're getting them started, because you have to cold stratify them, or you have to like do all kinds of weird things. They need to be frozen, and then they need to be refrigerated, and then they need to stay damp and all that stuff. Well, here in Missouri, it kind of just happens outside. It freezes, and so I think that the winter sowing method is a lot easier for starting my native wildflowers. So some of the things that I have grown very successfully, like I said, are native wildflowers. Also perennial flowers grow really well like this. Perennial grasses start really well like this. The problem we have here in Missouri is I have to go out and I have to open this up because it can be February and it could be 80 degrees. Well, inside of one of these, if it's 80 degrees outside, in here it's going to be well over probably 100. I've never tested that, but it's going to be very hot inside of one of these. So you have to go in and out, and you have to open it up because we always have very strange winters. We're very cold, then it gets very warm, and then it's very cold again. And so it's a lot of stress on an annual plant whenever it is in one of these milk jugs. I don't normally do those brassicas and other cold season annuals unless I'm just out of space in here, which has happened before. So it is possible, but not something that I do on a regular basis. Something that I have tried to grow in these and I have been unsuccessful, again, because of our erratic weather here in Missouri, is tomatoes, peppers, and other hot loving annuals. I think the reason for that is it gets just too cold, and so they don't grow well. And so again, I don't do that. I use my seed starting room to start all of my warm loving annuals as well. Is it possible? And someone out there probably has done it. Absolutely. It is just whenever I have a plant room like this, I don't really think it's necessary to put them in milk jugs. So can you? Probably. Will you see me do it? No. And that's it. Once you have your milk jugs all nice and secure, you're going to bring them outside. You're going to put them in a nice spot that you walk by and that you can check on them. You can water them if you need to, and just kind of keep an eye on them. I am putting my milk jugs right here along the pathway. I'll put them in a line so that they get lots of sun, but they are protected from our north winds, and I can check on them and make sure they stay watered. And that's it. That's all it takes for winter sowing. I'm going to line them up here along my pathway so when I walk by, I can check on them, I can keep them watered, they'll look great. I still have a few more that I have to go down and get, but that's winter sowing. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.